Nyt on aika päästää ääneen Backyard Ultra-konseptin isä. Tennesseeissä omalla takapihallaan lajin kehittänyt Gary Cantrell. Taiteilijan nimellä Lazarus Lake esiintyvä ultrajuoksun pioneeri on hieman mystinenkin hahmo, joka tunnetaan muun muassa maailman rankimmaksi juoksukilpailuksi tituleeratun Barkley Marathonsin kehittäjänä. Reilun 10 vuoden aikana Lazaruksen Backyard Ultra-konsepti on kasvanut maailmanlaajuiseksi ilmiöksi ja tämän kesän Lazarus aloitti kiertämällä Eurooppaa kisoja katsastaen. Keskiviikkoiltana taltioidussa videopuhelussamme Lazarus pohti tuon Euroopan reissun kohokohtia, joista päällimmäisenä taisi tulla esille se lepo. Eli se, kun ne pitkäksi venyneet kisat olivat vihdoin ohi ja lajia fanaattisesti seuraava lajin isä sai vihdoin pistää itsekin silmiä hetkeksi kiinni.
Oh man, that it would be hard to pick the most memorable moments. I watched two really outstanding races that went very deep. So I think the outstanding moment was when I finally got to sleep.
That's a good answer.
Yeah, if you've been to backyards, that's always the biggest moment. In the backyard, things can turn on a dime. Everything can change just like that. So you don't want to look away. When you look back, everything will be different.
I was just looking at the Nuuksio Backyard Ultra results from the 4 previous years, and it seems that the 24-hour limit in Finland, that's hard. Like five runners get over the 24 hours, the 100-mile distance. Why is it so hard in Backyard Ultra? The 100-mile people run it all the time.
Yes, but people don't run it under 24 hours all the time.
Exactly.
And in the backyard, not only do you have to run it in 24 hours, you have to run the same distance every single hour. Looking at the results, there is something to be learned from the pacing in a backyard, because compared to the outside other races, you have an inordinate number of people who do run the 100 under 24 hours. I think it prevents you from going out too fast, and it never lets you get too slow.
Backyard Ultraan liittyy paljon spekulointia erilaisten taktiikoiden osalta. Kannattaisiko juosta nopeammin, saada pidempi tauko, ehtii syödä paremmin, nostaa jalkoja ylös, ehkä ottaa pienet torkut, vai kannattaako sittenkin edetä hitaasti, olla ehkä minuutti huollossa ja jatkaa sitten matkaa hitaasti edeten ja vähän energiaa kuluttaen. Lazaruksen lajin kehittäjän, joka on tietysti paljon kisoja seurannut, oma mielipide voiton salaisuuteen on hyvin, hyvin yksinkertainen. Siitä kuulemme seuraavaksi. Ja seuraavaksi kuulemme myös siitä, minkälaisiksi Lazarus itse ajatteli Backyard Ultra-reittien olevan. Onko tekninen polku vai helppo ulkoilureitti sopivampi backyardiin? Siitä kuulemme nyt Lazaruksen mietteet.
Well, I know the game plan that always wins is the same, which is to keep stepping to the starting line until you're the only one. But it goes back and forth, and it's hard to really say whether you want to run faster laps or slower laps, whether it's more important to not put out too much effort on the loop or to have a little more time in camp. I know in terms of experience and becoming an accomplished backyard runner, you have to get really efficient at using the short time you have, compared to a regular ultra where if you have a problem, you can stop for however long it takes to fix it. Everything that you fix in the backyard, you have to fix in somewhere between 5 and 15 minutes, and that's all the time you have.
Do you still remember the first Backyard Ultra you arranged back in the day? When was the first one, and how did it turn out? How long did they run in the first Backyard Ultra?
It was in 2012, and the race was won in 16 hours. There were no experienced backyard runners. No one really knew what they were doing. And we also did not understand, we've got the Biggs Backyard Trail. It's not an easy trail to start with. And it was extremely difficult for people to make the time limit after dark. And that's when we switched to having night loops that are on the road. I think in the backyard, you don't want the course to be what defeats the runner. You want the runner to be able to go on until their mind gives up.
When you arranged the satellite race in 2020, which was a phenomenon all over the world, it was a topic about the different route in different places, speculating, is it harder in Tennessee than in Finland, or was the Belgium race too easy because they ran so far? What are your thoughts on the backyard? What kind of route should it be in your mind?
If I was designing a route specifically for the satellite championships, I would go more towards the Belgian model than, say, Mexico's model in 2020. 2020, theirs was too hard. And they might have made a run at winning the whole thing if they'd had an easier course. So for the satellite championships, I would make the easiest course I could. Biggs Backyard, I think for a world individual championship, it's a nice test of the total runner. The trail is not difficult to finish in time, but it's a real trail. There's rocks and roots and turns and all of the things that make a trail fun. And then the runner also has to be proficient on the road, where that they don't just lose their mind because it's flat and straight and not much is happening. If I was making just a race that was to have like Nuuksio or any of the other races, I think the perfect race has great scenery for the eyes, but it's not cruel to the legs. I really think the runners don't prefer a course that's perfectly flat, but you don't want the hills or the bad footing or the difficult terrain to be the thing that limits how far people can go. I think the best thing for runners at all levels of ability is that they can go further than they've gone before, because it's built for that.
Backyard Ultran kehitys on ollut huimaavaa, niin kuin tuo Lazaruksen esimerkki hänen omasta kisastaan osoittaa. Siitä ensimmäisen kerran 16 kierroksesta on tultu nyt maailmaan, jossa maailman ennätys saavutetaan juoksemalla 103 kierrosta. Eli tällä hetkellä Australiassa tehty 102 kierrosta on lajin maailmanennätys ja Phil Gore-nimisen henkilön hallussa. Lazarus on seurannut lajin kehitystä ihan sillä samalla innostuksella ja hämmästyksellä, niin kuin me kaikki lajia ympäri maailmaa seuraavat.
It's really been fun. When we did the first one, we had no idea it would catch on like it has, but then you see how much it offers to runners at all levels of ability. I'm not surprised that humans master things. That's what they do. They figure stuff out and figure out how to do it better. And I'm just sitting here wondering, how far can it go? Because it is designed where it's not something you can do forever. But they've learned how to run it. And you see the people that do the hundreds, they didn't start out with 100. They started out with maybe 40, and it looked like 40 was all they could possibly ever do. But they go home and they refine it, and then their body gets accustomed to it. It's pretty interesting to watch how the backyard has gone.
Well, in October, in your backyard, it's going to be one big race again, as you can say. The world's best runners in your backyard, people who have run over 100 hours in the line, Are we expecting the all-time backyard ultra race in Bigs this year?
Yeah, whether they'll break the record or not, it's going to be the all-time backyard race because the field is unbelievable. As of yesterday, we had 22 people who had run for 3 days or longer. And there are 3 or 4 more of those who will be joining us, and we still have 6 weeks of qualifying. I'll be watching Nuuksio because I know if you get two really stubborn individuals, they can push each other to get up there on the at-large list, and maybe that race will put 1 or 2 people in.
Suomen edustaja lajin MM-kisaan tänä syksynä, eli siihen Bigsiin lokakuussa, saatiin selville vasta tänä keväänä runoff-kisassa, jonka Visa Kivinen vei nimiinsä. Visan kisalippu tosiaan heltisi vasta runoffissa sen takia, että lokakuun satelliittikilpailu Nummelassa jouduttiin keskeyttämään rajun ukkosilman takia. Lazarus seurasi mielenkiinnolla sitä lokakuunkin kisaa ja seurasi myös runoffia ja oli itse asiassa mukana myös miettimässä sitä, että miten ihmeessä saataisiin Suomesta kuitenkin edustus MM-kisoihin. Sen Lazarus nimittäin halusi paikalle saada.
I thought it was possible that it would go really far, but I wasn't surprised that it didn't go that far because you only had 3 runners. And a lot of times in the backyard, a runner doesn't quit because they can run no further. They quit when they no longer believe they can win. So it's very much a mental game. And obviously, 2 of the runners did not feel that they would be able to beat the 3rd runner. And so it was relatively short. I'm not sure whose idea it was because there was a lot of discussion the day of the race. First, they said they stopped because of bad weather. And I thought, why would you stop for bad weather? And then I found out how bad it was. Yeah, if you've got power lines down all over the course, you probably would be stupid to run.
Yeah, it was horrible race. The weather was, even for Finnish, it was hard.
You know, I know the word and it just doesn't come to my mind. The Finnish word for that stoic endurance of whatever happens.
Sisu.
Sisu, yes.
Yeah, that's
what I
Sisu.
said. That's so it was depressing that the race had stopped to think that we wouldn't have inland represented to bring Sisu to Big's backyard. And so we looked, it seemed obviously the only fair thing to do was to get them back together and run it off. And I thought they might do it like in a few days, but they did it some months later. But either way, the important thing is Finland has a representative.
Tämän vuoden Nuuksio Backyard Ultrasta Lazarus innostuu lähtölistoilta Pekka Aallon nimestä. Pekka on tottunut juoksemaan äärimmäisen pitkiä matkoja ja viikkotolkulla. Mutta Lazarus muistuttaa myös, että backyard ei ole yksilölaji.
He has to have someone to help him get there. That's one of the things built into backyard, which I really like because I've been in athletics and sports all of my life as a coach and as a competitor. And I think in any sport, you can only be as good as your opponent. If you play weak opponents, you'll never be good. But the backyard is a sport where this is written into the rules. And so when runners are racing and they're trying to do something like get onto the at-large list for bigs, they're not just competitors, they're also teammates because you need the other guy to go far. Pekka is such a well-known and great runner at the extreme distances that I really hope he has a field that can carry him in. It would be really exciting to see him here in October and maybe another Finn or 2.
Lazaruksen osalta on ihan selvää, että rahan takia hän ei näitä kilpailuja meille järjestä. Lazaruksen mystiseen hahmoon kuuluu se, että hänen osallistumismaksunsa hänen omiin tapahtumiinsa ovat luokkaa $60 ja uudet sukat. Lazarus kertoo tässä haastattelun loppupuolella, että pohjimmiltaan häntä ajaa eteenpäin se sama urheiluromantiikka, mikä monia faneja. Hän haluaa auttaa ihmisiä ylittämään itsensä ja nauttia sitten niistä jännittävistä hetkistä, jännätä sitä, mihin asti se ihmismielen raja ja kehon raja oikein saadaan vedettyä.
The job of any race director is to provide a venue for people to find greatness in themselves. You like to see people have an avenue to have experience challenge, to express themselves physically, to get outdoors. You want to contribute something as you go along, and running and sports has given me so much. I'm trying to give a little bit back.
You have certainly done that. I heard the first time I heard about Backyard Ultra was 2019. I think I met Mikael Herman for the first time in a orienteering race in Finland, and he said that, well, you know, Yuri, I have this concept there's this concept in the United States that's very interesting, and I'm going to arrange a Backyard Ultra race, and you should come and see it for yourself. And I have been a fan of this sport since 2019 and can't get enough. Thank you for your kindness and great service for the running community.
Well, I'm also a spectator, and I enjoy the purity of the competition in the backyard. To see how much that humans can do, and to see a sport where people compete fiercely to the extreme level, and then at the end, when finally the next to last one stops and the last one goes on, you see the true affection of competitors between them. They go through a lot together, and I think the winner actually misses the other one when finally they're the only one. It's bittersweet.
It certainly is. Thank you so much, Laz, for the interview. If you have any advice for the Finnish runners in Nuuksio Backyard Ultra this year, as they are thinking about, should I go for another lap or two, what would you say?
I think I've been in distance running forever. The Flying Finns from Paavo Nurmi to Lasse Viren, the concept of Sisu, the Finns need to continue the legacy that they have inherited of greatness as runners. And I look forward to seeing someone from Nuuksio go onto that at-large list, so that I'm writing to Mikael to get their email address so I can contact them when the time comes.